Okay, people, AC Butch here, and welcome to my show. First, let me tell you something. I don't script it, I don't rehearse it, I don't even know where I'm going, so if we go down the wrong road, don't worry, we'll just come back. If I get tongue-tied and go ba beats, whatever, that's me, because coming from Brooklyn, I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I do. Anyway, this show is mainly about gambling. I've been a professional gambler actually since I'm a kid, and I say that because to me, profession means that you make a living from it. And I've been doing that since my early teenage years. Started off with bowling for money, action bowling, my one true passion in life, I tell you. Unbelievable, but you're going to hear about that. What we're going to do is get to know each other just a little bit. I guess you should know something about me. I have a couple of people interested in doing a motion picture about my life. Yeah, they saw a segment that I had on one of my cable shows, Hole in the Wall, about the action bowling part, and it really hooked them in. And one day I just got a phone call, and I couldn't believe it. I thought it was a lark. I thought it was just somebody pulling my leg, but it was from Joe Rivett from New Line Cinema. And he said he saw the episode and really liked it, and he wanted to meet with me. Again, I still thought it was a lark, so he gave me the address to his office building down here on the west side of Manhattan, up around 57th Street. I get down there, and New Line Cinema's up on like the 27th floor or whatever. I go up there, and I'm still expecting to go to the desk, the reception desk, and just have them say, "I don't know what you're talking about." But it turns out he was there. Oh yeah. We go down for lunch together. As a matter of fact, I was there with my partner, Robert Santa. We did Hole in the Wall together. We did a lot of things together. But we go down, we have lunch, and he tells me that he's not just a little interested, he's very interested. Okay, step two. Robert gets me in touch with an old buddy of his who's now out in Hollywood. The kid's originally from Avenue X in Brooklyn, and comes from that type of a background. As a matter of fact, he got a little famous through a picture that he put together. He wrote it, he directed it, he filmed it, called Gravesend. It won an award at the Cannes Film Festival, and from that he got a contract with New Line Cinema. No. There I go. Not New Line Cinema, with DreamWorks. That's it, DreamWorks. Anyway, he was always interested in doing something about gambling in Brooklyn, the whole bit. He flies in. I mean, this is how interested he is. And he gives me a sales pitch how much he wants to be part of this project. Sal also became somewhat famous for writing some of the Soprano episodes, and yeah. But anyway, I put him in touch with Joe Rivett, and they hit it off together that Joe wants to produce it, and Sal will write the screenplay and direct it. Well, it got put on hold. It's still in the works, and we'll go into why it got put on hold. But right now, this show here is kind of to give them some more ammunition to really go through my life, what it's been like, and of course they feel that there's a whole series of motion pictures in my life, not just the bowling era. There's a lot of things after that, and we're going to go through the whole thing, but we're going to talk gambling too. And if you ever want to go to my website, acbutch.com, you're going to find a lot of information on whether it's poker, baccarat, blackjack, videos I did, learning things, money management. Money management to me is everything. That's how I made money all of these years, through managing everything correctly. And I'm going to teach you how to do that. But anyway, my life started in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, in the 40s. Well, I was born in 44. And by the time I was 6, 7 years old, I was running the streets. Oh yeah, we lived on 5th Avenue above a carpet store, 5th Avenue between Ovington and 72nd Street. And let me tell you something, this was like the Bowery Boys back then it was really all Irish. Well, almost all Irish anyway. I was Scandinavian. My people really came over from 8th Avenue in the 40s, but we were down here with the Irish. And I mean, the gang wars. Every street had a gang of its own. You know, all these little thugs, and I guess I was one of them. But what a place to live. Let me tell you something. Let me just give you an idea. On my block alone, well, like I said, I lived above a carpet store. There was a great bakery, a German bakery, right downstairs to the right of me, Nyman's Bakery, and you could just smell, I mean, they made great stuff. We had a grocery store on the block, we had a candy store, we had across the street a hardware store, a clothes store, right down the block on the next one, a pizza place, a Dairy Queen, a bowling alley with a pool room and a luncheonette and a bar. Bars. Every block in Bay Ridge had one or two bars, let me tell you. Oh yeah, every single one. But we had, I mean, within a block or two of just where I lived, everything you could think of. I mean, a movie theater, the Loews Alpine, the ice cream parlors, a sporting goods store, an Army and Navy store, a fruit store. It just doesn't end. Everything there. But I ran the streets, and like I said, like the Bowery Boys, and we had a lot of games we played, like Johnny on the Pony and stickball, and we'd take bottle caps and fill them with wax, and we'd pitch them to the line. I think that's how I started getting my swing, my arm for bowling, and pitching coins and flipping cards. And then with the little gangs we had this thing, we made carpet guns. Yeah, that was our weapons for the war. And a carpet gun would be a 2x4 with a nail on the end and a big thick rubber band that would be stretched back, and further up the 2x4 there would be a clothespin, and that would be wrapped onto it with rubber bands also. Now when you took the front rubber band and stretched it back and put it under the clothespin, then this is where the carpets came in. We would get the throwaway carpets from the store right under where I lived, cut them into little squares, put them at the end of the rubber band, and when you released it, let me tell you something, that was a dangerous little thing. That wasn't a joke. And then we would have these soap boxes, whatever you call them, where also a 2x4 would have 2 wheels of a skate on the front, 2 wheels of a skate on the back, and then we would mount a wooden box that we'd get from the fruit store and make candles, and sometimes even mount a carpet gun on that too. And that was our mode of transportation. I tell you, I don't think kids grow up anymore like this. I really don't. And then, of course, the bad stuff. I mean, how many of the kids just out and out thieves? That's right. Well, that's where we lived. And what they would do is do everything from just casually walk into the ice cream parlor or something like that. There were so many of them on Fifth Avenue. I mean, just up and down. There was loads of them. Not like today where you have hardly anything. And they'd make believe they were going to the bathroom, and when they would spot a tip on the table, they'd casually walk by and swipe it. That also with Woolworth's 5 and 10 cent store on Fifth Avenue between 74th and 75th, going in there, stealing penknives, anything that was small, load the pockets, and then resell the stuff. Also parking meters that came along. Well, you know what happens with parking meters. Yeah. And you know, one big problem that I had was with, excuse me, was with my father. Yeah, very, very strict. I mean, he gave me no leeway at all. And my problem is I wouldn't give in. I mean, I would never cry. When he went to whack me, because he caught me doing many things I shouldn't have been doing, you see, he worked very hard, but he loved his beer. And I never knew what bar he was in, never knew. And all the bars had this window you could look out, and he would see stupid things like starting a fire in a waste paper basket or whatever it might be. You know, these stupid things. And let me tell you something, that's when I would get picked up by the head and dragged home. My feet would never touch the ground, and whack, 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 whack. But I would never show any fear. I had this stubbornness in me. I would never show fear. I would never back. I would just stand there and take it. I never talk back to him or anything like that. But I would infuriate him because I just would just be there and stare at his eyes. Well, this went on a long time, but that's the drawback I had. I mean, there was a lot of strict fathers then, but well, you know, at the time, what I used to do too was some silly things like get on the Staten Island ferry at 69th Street at the end of Bay Ridge and go to Staten Island. And I'm only like 7, 8, 9 years old. It cost a nickel to get on the ferry. They had this pool over there, the St. James pool, had like 3 different pools, a small one, a medium one, a big one with diving boards, and a big place you could shower and change your clothes. And I mean, I would come back home and the cops would be looking for me, and I just disappeared for hours and hours and hours at such a young age. My mother would be hysterical, my father would forget. And I did it. I don't know how many times I did it. And my father even gave the cops permission to whack me around a little bit here and there. And let me tell you something, back in those days they did it because we had a beat cop, you know, and they knew everybody in the area, and when they came after me, they came after me. But, you know, when I was about 9 years old, a wonderful thing happened. Now, Ovington Bowling Alley Bar, luncheonette, so on and so forth, I almost grew up in that. That was literally about maybe less than 100 feet from my house, right on the corner of Ovington and Fifth Avenue. I lived a few stores in, that's all. And the bowling alley part, back then, kids weren't allowed in there. I think you had to be 16 to legally even be allowed in a bowling alley. But I would be in the bar all of the time and have these fantastic hamburgers and French fries and soda and what was it, the luncheonette part actually. Yeah, I guess that's what you would call it. Really good, great pickles. But anyway, when I got to be 9 years old, my father asked me if I wanted to bowl a few games. I couldn't believe it. You're not allowed to do that. But he was very good friends with the owner, this guy Eddie. And they let me in there and I started bowling. Well, let me tell you something. It took, well, these are the days with pin boys, the alley conditions. They had 10 lanes upstairs and 10 lanes downstairs, which actually was a pretty big bowling alley back then. With pin boys, tough to hit, but great atmosphere, great atmosphere. About a year before I broke 100, and when I broke 100 for the first time, let me tell you something, it was like a 300 game. What a fantastic feeling. But anyway, the deal that he had with Eddie was I could really go in there and bowl any day I wanted. And then my father would settle up with Eddie and take care of the pin boys and stuff like that. And within the next 2 years, I started getting really good. By the time I was 13, I was bowling for my father in the league that he was in. Not all the time, you know, he really enjoyed more just sitting in the bar and shooting the shit rather than getting out there and bowling and doing anything. And he wasn't a bad bowler. He was about a 160, 165, which in those days in the league was not bad at all. But I was doing better. I was actually averaging about 173, 174, and I started bowling first, right? I wasn't bowling anchor, I was bowling first. But anyway, let's make a long story short. It comes down to the end of the season, and the first place team had the captain, this guy by the name of Jimmy Nolan, who was the head pin chaser there. Fantastic bowler, lefty, threw the biggest hook I ever saw at the time. And at Ovington, nobody, but let me tell you something, nobody, I don't care who it was, could come in and beat Jimmy Nolan in Ovington. That's just how good he was there. And he was good in any house, but I mean, in Ovington, he was unbeatable. Well, we bowl them, and we have to win all 3 games. So our team, it was position night, the final night. Our team had to win all 3 games to win the championship. I bowled really good that day, really good. And we won the championship. We swept the 3 games, which was almost impossible to do. And Jimmy and my father, they got into a few verbal words, Jimmy being Irish, my father being a thick-headed Scandinavian Swede. One word led to the other, and My father challenged Jimmy to bowl me because Jimmy was putting me down. First of all, I never really bowled for money, not heads up against somebody. My father, though, was smart enough to know the match couldn't be in Ovington, even though that was my house, and I really never really bowled anywhere else to speak of. He sets it up in Lemark Lanes up on 88th Street and 5th Avenue. Brand new house. I was never in anything like that. I mean, big, spacious, beautiful, boom, 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 the whole bit. We go up there, and we're going to bowl a 3-game match, total wood, for $50. $50 was a week's pay to men with families. $50 was not something to sneeze at. Let me tell you something, not to sneeze at all. Well, I get up right away. Let me say one thing, I'm practicing, and these alleys were so easy in comparison to Ovington, I couldn't believe it. I mean, but that's still besides the point. The first ball I throw in the actual game, I'm so nervous, my hand's shaking, my legs are shaking, my toes are shaking. I lightly go off my ankle, not much, and luckily I throw a strike. Jimmy starts off with a big split, an open frame, and after that it just took all the pressure off. I bowled a 3-game total wood thing like I've never bowled in my life. I mean, I shot like 277 the first game, came back with like a 253 or something like that, and I think my third game was 230 something. Oh, I was sky high. I win. My father gives me that whole 50. He gives me $100 from the league, all in dollar bills. I got $150 in singles. You know, kind of a wad. This is money I never had in my life. With all of the things, I mean, even down on the streets in Bay Ridge, I was an entrepreneur. Yeah, I sold lemonade that I made, Kool-Aid actually. It wasn't lemonade, and this and that, and I did anything I had to, but I never had money like this. The next day, I walk into another brand new house. Well, I didn't mention, we had moved from Bay Ridge to Bensonhurst when I was 10 years old. So I was already in Bensonhurst for 3 years. I was never in this bowling alley though. Brand new bowling alley on Avenue M in McDonald called the Avenue M Bowl. You're going to hear a lot about that place. Well, I walk in the next day with 150 big ones in my pocket, my bowling ball in my hand, and I tell you, they had dollar pot games with guys my age, got right into that, befriended everybody there, and that was the start. That was the start of AC Butch, professional bowler, doing it for a living, and we're going to just get into so much more, but let's end it right now because I don't want to be too long-winded. No. Can't be too long-winded. Okay, and you're going to hear a lot. You're going to hear a lot. A lot of it you're not even going to believe.